Jumbo, Karibu, welcome to my channel. My name is Chilanda and this is Library Without Borders.
Welcome to my channel. My name is Chilanda and this is Library Without Borders. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Okay, y'all, so today's video I will be talking to you about all the books that I've read for the month of January. Now, I haven't posted my wrap-up video for December. It's ready to be posted, but I simply was not in the mental space to post it, then. But I'm gonna try to have it sometime next week, okay? But first, let's talk about the books that I've read. So I've read a total of actually 9 books. My goal was 8 books, and I read this and listened to, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 audio. 3 audios. Yeah, 3 audios. So, first book I started reading was The 4 Treasures of the Sky by Jenny Tingui Zhang. This book was heartbreaking. America, y'all got some history. This talks about the Chinese people that went to work, I think, on the railroad in which part of the United States, and were killed. Is it Utah? God, let me just put these books somewhere. This is my journal, guys. I've been using my journal, so I'm happy about it. Let me just put this here, because I know her journey starts in San Francisco. Let me just, okay. So, it's the story about this young girl, Dayu. And Dayu actually carries the name of a Chinese deity. What happens that one day, her parents are kidnapped and she is not able to see them ever, okay? And she just stays with her grandma. But then, her grandma tells her that, you know what, you need to run away because they're also coming for you. So she runs away, and then she's left her own device. At this time, I think she's 9 years old, okay? She's 9 years old, and what they've done is that they've cut her hair. Was it her grandma? I believe her grandma cut her hair and dressed her into boyish attire so that she wouldn't attract the wrong attention. But left to her own devices, she is in the streets. I mean, the girl is hungry. She has nowhere to sleep. So she goes out to the market and she tries to find some food, and merchants there are not really too keen on seeing these beggars. She's told to leave. Then there comes this person who acts like her savior. He's like, you know what, I'm her uncle, I'll take care of her. So he takes her and he's like, okay, come, I'll do you want food? You're hungry? He buys her noodle, and then Lord behold, she's kidnapped by that person. And you know where she is brought? To San Francisco. To do what? To work in a brothel. And to please who? White America. That's the story. Now you can just imagine the atrocious part in this book is the way she is shipped to the United States, because obviously there were some measures that are taken so as not to bring the wrong stuff or things into the United States. So they're very much investigated, and their ships are investigated, their security and stuff like that. But somehow this person found a way to put her in the bucket with coals for long periods, for hours, onto that ship all the way to the United States. She's 9, so you could just imagine she had to poo in there, pee in there, and she wasn't fed properly. So even though she didn't have much to poo or pee, can you imagine? Based on, I don't know if it's, but the story of the rest, it's based on true story. This part, I don't know, but that is cruel. That is actually very cruel. So anyway, so she gets to the brothel, and before she got to the brothel, she was actually taught for a whole year, imprisoned in China, and she was taught to speak English. And she was told that she needed to say she was 14. She's not. She's 14. So she gets there, and then she's obviously groomed into being a prostitute for the white people. and y'all know she's a virgin. So over there she meets other girls, she starts to find her stories. But one day when it's finally, she's the madame of the house is like, you're finally ready to go and fuck a man. She's scared, but she knows she has no choice. And that madame was so cruel to the kids. One day you'll see a girl, the next day you won't see her. Woo! Sometimes you can have your own people betray you. Anyways, so this guy is a young boy who's half Chinese and half white. So he's brought to the brothel by his brothers, and his brothers are like, you know what, we want him to have, you know, his first sexual experience. And because this kid, their family are like prominent Chinese family, they work with like, you know, the big Chinese gangsters. She's like, okay, we're gonna give you a special one, and it's our girl Dayu, who's a virgin. So long story short, they go into the room and he's like, you know, I don't want to do this. Like, he was almost crying, and she was like, oh, okay. So they kind of developed a friendship there, and from then on they started unveiling things to each other. And one day he's like, you want to escape? And he's gonna help her. It does work. She escapes with him, but something happens while they escaped and where they were staying. Something does happen to her while he's there watching. So she runs away, and that's what I'm saying. She leaves San Francisco. You guys put in the comment if you know where the railroad was brought by Chinese, where a lot of Chinese people were killed, right? So before I conclude this story, I just want to read you guys a couple of quotes. Quotes. Oh, I will no longer have my girlhood. I am realizing a truth. By his skin was not the burden. Bai, that's a B, so B-A-I. By he skin was not the burden. Her burden was being a girl. And if there is such a burden, then none of us are free from it, not even me. The reason why it's important, y'all saw that I talked about the widow, Iron Widow. There's also again mention of how women were treated in China, okay? So that was that. Yeah, this was the part when I told you they put her in the bucket. I felt myself crumpling back into the bucket. The putrid stench of what little excrement I had reaching for me. Oh, this is the scene where they are brought to the brothel, right? And then look what happens to them. Our whimpers bounced off the bare walls. All of us stripped to the bone and bracing for death. This is just them coming from the boats, unclean, skinny. Oh, there was us in the middle, and then there was them, the men who surrounded us, staring. Oh my God. This is why you have like, we're tired, man. Okay, two more, and we're gonna finish with this one. Okay, here she talks about once he's run away from the boy who helped her, she starts again, she goes back to disguising herself as a man, because she knows that as a girl, you are obviously a prey to the world out there. So she disguises herself as a boy and then decides to go work near the railroad where other Chinese people were working. But she was working in a store, and she met these two Chinese store owner, and she was there for like 3 years. Her goal was to amass enough money so she could go back to China. But guys, the words I've learned that white people would be calling Chinese people, what was it, Coolio? There was other words. Like this part, she's like, more than ever, I am very much aware of what I am. The space between my eyes and my nose and my lips and my chin can be something that makes me different, inferior even. Wow, Chinese people, y'all went through it, huh? Yeah, we understand you. We know what it is. She's like, what makes you think you are special? They would ask. The white people make me that way. Why else would they step aside when I walk by, or avoid my eyes, or whisper things that I cannot hear under their breath? Okay, this is the part where, oh, West Idaho. 3 Chinese miners are accused of looting. They are taken into the woods, where they are each tied to a tree by their queues. Then their throats are slit. In South In South Idaho, a Chinese man is dropped from a gate by a rope. In East Idaho, a 14-year-old Chinese boy is dragged from his family's apartment and hanged with clothesline. In North Idaho, an axe flies through the night and splits a lantern. A Chinese temple burns, bodies glowing inside. Anyways, so y'all can just see how atrocious Chinese people were treated during a certain period in the United States. And I want to tell you the story ends well. I want to tell you that, but you know what? You guys will have to discover. You guys will have to find out. So let me get to my journal to see how I rated the book. Yep, it was 3.75 right there. It was 3.75. Okay, so I definitely recommend. Next, I read 1,000 Never Ever. Interesting. What was this again? In Calcasieu, Mississippi in 1963, Addie Ann Pickett happily swings in the yard. Yeah, so the story in here is during Jim Crow? During the KKK ruling. Yeah, it's during the Jim Crow laws. So, anyways, you guys, so it's about this young girl. Her name is Addie Ann, and she's, she's in 7th grade, and she's just growing up in a society that has a dislike for black people for no reason, okay? And she needs to learn to navigate that world. Now, she has a brother, and that brother is very outspoken, and he does speak about what's going on and stuff like that. And she has a mom who's lovely but who has not gone to school, and the mom lives with their uncle, I guess her brother. So long story short, the culminating point of this story is that one day she goes to the store. She's outside. She has her cat, okay? The cat part was good. It was lovely. She's there, and these two white boys, they come, and I don't know what happens, but there is an altercation between her and the two boys, and I think they take her cat and like throw it. Thank God the cat can bounce or something, right? Then her brother was in the store, I guess, buying something. He sees that and he decides that he's gonna attack one of the boys, and that's when the story takes off. Y'all know it's Jim Crow, and you know you're in big trouble if you so much as look at a white person back then. And unfortunately, the brother will be made to run away, and she also is told, like, he tells her run, but he also has to run. So now the police are coming with their dogs, their hounds, looking for her brother. And her brother, I think he's 18 years old, and they're like destroying all the houses, and they're in that little village of Calcasieu. At the same time, that Calcasieu village, there was this white man who had, like, I guess a big house in a plantation or something like that, and he bestows that plantation to the people of Calcasieu, including white and black. But then the whites are like, no, it's true, he was senile, he wasn't like all there, because they can't fathom that a white man is leaving his land to black people, oh God. So anyway, so the brother runs, she runs, and then she's uncomfortable because he doesn't come back. Now the black people of Calcasieu are now trying to find a way to help him, but they don't know where he is, and she doesn't know where he is. And she goes to school, and then she's very sad, but then she will meet people who will help her. And when I say help her, I don't want to give the story too much, but they will be there for her. And when her mom is desperate, something happens with that I guess that plantation. So the people, white and black, have a meeting, but not at the same time. Again, they couldn't be in the same room together. So they have to communicate, okay, or see what they're gonna plant on that plantation. So they're talking, I think it was planting beans or something. And they're saying that once, the harvest takes and it's time to harvest the stuff, reap the stuff, we're gonna first go like in the morning, and then you black people are gonna come like at 12. But you guys know that they're gonna take the best and leave like the rotting part to the black people. But that's not the issue. Something happens to the beans that were planted. It's all rotten. So white people are mad, And now they're trying to put the blame on someone. You know what they do, y'all? They put the blame on Addie's uncle. No proof. They just decided that, you know what? Let this black man take it. Let this black man go down because, you know what? We decided. Anyways, let me read quotes here for you. You know, Medgar went to war for the United States of America. He risked his life in the Second World War. And you know what else? When he got back to this country, he was still just a black man from Mississippi. A black man who couldn't get a drink of water at a regular fountain, who couldn't stay at a regular motel, who couldn't sit down and get a burger at a regular counter. No, sir. That's a conversation between the uncle and Addie. Because she's curious, you know, you're young. You want to be like playing with people, with kids your age, but now you know that you have to play with the kid of your own colors. You can't do this. You can't, you know, y'all could just recall all the time. So she said here, remember how I told you her mama doesn't go to school, her mom didn't go to school? So she says here, because mama doesn't know much about schools at all. She grew up on a cotton plantation and went to the plantation school. Now get this, the plantation school was only open 6 months. November, December, March, April, and then July and August. The rest of the time, all the children were planting, chopping, and picking cotton. So this is another one of those speech that they're telling. I think it's happening between the black people. So she's like, as Negroes, we've got to run faster, work harder, and think better than all the white folks combined. So that's what I'm going to expect y'all to do in the presence of lady like me. You know, that's so true. Even today, that saying that you have to work harder than white people. Even us Africans, when we get here, we're told that, you know, because I may not want to put in efforts and just glide into life as easily as my white brother or sister, but no, that's not what's recommended of us. Last quote before I conclude this one. So what happened is that in another town there was a killing. Remember the church? At the Negro church in Birmingham, there was 4 girls. They were at Sunday school at the Negro church in Birmingham, Alabama. They didn't do nothing wrong. They didn't do nothing wrong. So, you know, Addie's thinking about it and she's like, what happened? Like, how could this have happened? So just telling you how a young girl had to grapple with the reality of being black in America in the Jim Crow period. So it's a very, very good book. It was 4 stars, so I recommend. So this book, I actually listened to it on audio. And it's The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros, who just came with the new book, The Onyx, which I have to get to eventually. But that talks about, it's during World War II. So you have dual timeline. You have a story that's going on with Jemison and, what was the girl? Scarlett. So there's the story that's happening with Jemison and Scarlett during World War II. And then you have present time, you have Noah and Georgia. So let me just talk to you about Noah and Georgia. Noah is a writer, romance books for a man. Cute, huh? And Georgia has inherited her, I think it's great grandmother. So yeah, I think it's her great grandmother. Her stories, but also her land, and she's rich, basically. She's well off. But what's important is that she has an unfinished story that was written by her great grandmother, and it's in her hand. Now, her mom, who's not so well off, she wants that story to basically be finished. That is why you see Noah comes into the picture. And she's not okay with that because she's like, what if it was unfinished for purpose? And then that's basically the trope that's gonna develop here. It's close proximity trope, and it's Noah and Georgia working together. And she gives them 2 choices. She's like, you're gonna write 2 endings. No, actually it's Noah who tells her. He's like, okay, I know you don't want this story to be finished and all that stuff, but here's the offer. We're gonna finish the story. I'm gonna write 2 endings. One that's good, and then one that's not a happily ever after type. So a not happily ever after and a happily ever after, okay? So that's what he tells her. So she's like, okay, because she doesn't want a happy ever after. She's like, not all stories need to have a happy after. And the reason why she says that, it's simply because she's a bit bitter. Not really bitter, but something did happen in her marriage. She was married, okay? So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Now let's go to the World War time period, World War II time period. You have Jameson and Scarlett. Scarlett is English, and then this war is currently happening in England. And then you have Jameson, who's a Yankee. He's called Yank. And those pictures of Tom Cruise with his glasses, with the airplane and all, those military airplanes and all that stuff. That's what I was visualizing. But yeah, here comes Jameson, the typical handsome, patriotic white American, come to save the day in England. Okay, so long story short, she's one of those. What was she? Her role was that she was in charge of monitoring on the map in offices, I guess the airplanes, I guess, being aware of, how do you call them, so that they don't go into obstacles. Basically, they were there to warn the pilots, right, of incoming dangers and things like that. So one day she's driving with her sister, and then this Yank stops, and he's like, ooh, beautiful talk, and some things develop between them two, which was cute. I did like the romance that developed between Jameson and Scarlett. Oh, Scarlett. So it was really cute. I liked their love, but their lives were really fraught with danger. They were in the middle of war, so she was like, will I see Jameson? Every time he would go and fly, she was like, is he coming back? I can't tell you the rest because I'll be spoiling it for you, but I enjoyed the story. It was definitely a 3-star. I rated 3-star, so I recommend. Next, I read this book, and by the way, I didn't read them in this order. Anyways, it's Eternal by Lisa Scottoline. I actually thought she was Italian because this story is set in Italy. She's actually American. So it's about the war. It's still World War II. Y'all can see the airplane right there. And it's during the time where Germany is killing Jewish people. Let's just now mince words. Let's say And what happens that Italy is the story starts in 1937. So we are at the dawn of the war. You have 3 main characters. You have Marco, you have Sandro, and Elisabetta. And they're different POV. You have their POVs, but sometimes you also have the brother of Marco POVs. You have the father's POV. You have sometimes the father of Sandro's POV. There's other POVs, but the main ones are these 3. So they're young. They're, I believe, maybe 16 or something, okay? And Sandro is Jewish, Italian. And Marco is Gentile, as they call them. He's white, Italian. And the Jewish community in Italy, they actually live in a different compound, like in a ghetto. That's what they call, in a ghetto community. So here, Sandro loved living in the ghetto, which was the oldest living Jewish community in Western civilization. The community was established nearly 2,000 years ago when Jerusalem had fallen to the Emperor Titus, who had sacked the temple and brought Jews back to Rome as slaves. The conquest was commemorated in the Grand Arch of Titus in the Roman Forum, with Gentiles viewed as a majestic arch by many Jews considered a symbolic yoke. So in 1555, the ghetto was created, and Pope Paul IV had ordered that walls be built surrounding the neighborhood, with doors that were locked at night and guards on patrol, for which the community had to pay. There were thousands of Jews in Rome at the time, and they were compelled to wear yellow badges and forced to live in the ghetto, packed into about 130 homes on a handful of city blocks that encompassed less than 3 hectares or 7 acres. It was considered the least desirable neighborhood in Rome, situated on low-lying ground that flooded every winter from the Tiber, bringing malaria and other diseases. So, I just wanted to tell you about the ghetto living. So, he's living there. That's Sandro, okay? And long story short, like I said, war is coming. They grow up, and one day they discover that there are laws being implemented by the fascist Mussolini. He's saying that now Jewish people can't go to school, can't be teachers, they can't have businesses, they can't have bank. Like basically he's taken all their rights in a span of like few days, okay? And the funny thing is there were Jewish fascists and Gentiles fascists, okay? There were those who believed in the government of Mussolini until he started taking all their rights. And what happens is that Elisabetta is in the middle of, like, these two boys were vying for her attention. But she knows she can't have both, you know, she needs to make a choice. So the boys are besties, you know, they're besties. But then they're like, you know what? May the best men win, basically, okay? So they're good, you know, they're like, you know what? You're my brother, but, you know, let's make this, you know, let's see. And Elisabetta, Marco is very, you know, handsome, but he can't read. She doesn't know that. Sandro is very intelligent, but he's Jewish, right? And in the Jewish community, you can't intermarry. You can't mix. You need to marry a Jewish person so that you have the same beliefs. Long story short, the war comes. All of those rights are stripped away from the Jewish people. And now they're like starving. Yo, when I tell you I read this book and I was crying, I was like, whoo! Like they were thriving. But all of a sudden, they're not even able to get food. So what Marco will do, because he knows Sandro is very prideful, he'll sometimes at night come and drop food at his door. And then Sandro didn't know that. He thought that it was just nice people actually bringing food to their house. But it was his friend. So, and his friend is now serving the fascist military. Like he's employed by one of those Italian fascist military. But they're still sort of okay until Germany descends upon Italy and tells them that, you know what, from now on, things are going to change here, okay? They decide one day to call on the, I think, how do you call them? The rabbi? Okay, there's a rabbi and the leader of the Jewish community. And he tells them, I need this amount of gold, okay? And all this, the author actually confirmed that it was true. And he tells them that you need to bring this amount of gold in this many days. Y'all have to get that by this time, Jewish people are starving. They've sold their belongings, their goods, so that they could get food. So he knew he was asking them the impossible. But you know what happened? The Jewish community came together and they delivered the amount of gold, because the consequence was if you didn't deliver that amount, we were gonna take, I think, a selected few of you and bring you, I don't know where. So when that happened, Jewish people are like, woohoo, you know, we did it. And even Marco and, you know, the Marco's family helped, you know, and stuff like that. So they thought they were off the hook. But oh no, one night. And at this point, Elisabetta has chosen, I don't want to tell you, so, you know, you guys are not, I don't want to ruin it for you. She's made her choice, but unfortunately with what's going on, they're not able to live their love. And the thing is, she's dating Marco at the same time, and she's dating Sandro, because remember the bro said, may the best win. And she does make a choice. So anyways, long story short, like I said, one night, bam, 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 they heard banging, banging, banging. And boom, it's the Germans. And they're like, grab just one, you know, bag of something and line up. And oh, when she started describing the scene, the roundup. Guys, this is why I say I read books. I learn things because I can be like everyone else. Let me just stop here, okay? We're gonna go back. I could just be like, you know what? The past no longer matters, you know? Let's just live our lives, do our own thing, and live, you know, oblivious Let's just be zen. You know, I could be one of those, but no. These are stories that speak to me, that make me think about what life must have been for blacks, for Jewish, for Chinese, for, you know, for Indians. Like, I've learned so many stories about all these different people, different times. And this story was, again, compelling and very much a terrible thing. They rounded up those Jewish people. Kids, babies, mom, young, old. And the brutality of that, of how they were just screaming, you could just like the shouting, and in a language that they don't even understand. Can you believe, with guns pointed at you, you got kids? Whoa, let's just imagine the scene. Let's just imagine the scene. And we're gonna finish that because, like I said, I don't want to spoil the story for you guys, but y'all need to read. Let me just read you one thing that the author said. Oh, by the way, there's the author. That's her. And she did her due diligence, the way she was like talking Italian here, the words, the names were really cool. It was really cool. Man, there are things I'm not telling you, but you just have to read. There's this part where Marco has two brothers. One of them ends up being a priest and works with the Vatican in Italy. Y'all know Italy is big with Vaticans. And then one of them actually works underground with basically rebels to the fascists. You know, they want to topple the government, because not all Italians were for the fascists. But Marco doesn't know. He works for the fascists. His family is fascist, except the brother. And when he's discovered, so I can't find it, but what I wanted to say is that out of the rounded people, because it's based on factual facts, is that I think there were 2,000 Jewish people that were taken to be brought to, is it Auschwitz? What camp? Fossoli, that was the transit camp, that where they were brought to. I forgot which camp they were brought, but that one was the temporary one where they were brought, the people. And in the author's note, she said, of all the 2,016 people remained alive. So, anyways, we already know about the numbers of the people who've died, the Jewish people. Now, I'm not here to debate what's going on between Palestine and Israel. It's not, I've already said, okay, I occupied with more pressing matters. Not that their matters are not pressing, but I know the whole world is paying attention to them, and aid is there already. So, but this book for me puts certain things into perspective. Like I said, a life is a life. Okay, so I will recommend it regardless of your opinions of the current situation. It's a book that I would recommend, and I think it was a 5-star for me. Let me just make sure. It was a 5-star right here, right, Eternal. It was a 5-star for me. Definitely recommend. And then I read this book, The Furrows by Namwali Serpel. I was compelled to pick up the book because I think I had either seen on a BookTuber's page or someone mentioned it. They mentioned The Old Drift, but I had seen this and I was like, okay, the story seems interesting. Guys, I just read this book. I started, I think, at the beginning of the week. I don't think I was mentally there because I didn't have a good experience with the book. I thought it was confusing, and I kept saying maybe because my mind kept wandering somewhere else, precisely about the Congo situation. But then I was trying, and I would find myself like trying to reread things and just to try to be like, okay, what's going on here? But it's essentially about this young girl. What's her name? C-E-E, or C, just the letter C. And it's in the synopsis. Her brother drowns. Okay, she was with them. She's 12 years old. Her brother I think is either 8 or 6. They went together because the parents do led them, to the beach. But unfortunately, he drowns. Yo, as a mom, To the beach? No supervision. Why? How? Even if your kid doesn't know how to swim, but why are you letting a 12-year-old with a 6-year-old at a beach alone with no parental supervision? Blows my mind. Make it make sense. Okay. So anyways, and C is mixed. She's half white and her dad is black. So there's also some social commentaries that are being mentioned in this book. And the reason why I even picked her up, it's because they said she was from Zambia. She's born in Lusaka, Zambia. There she is. But interestingly enough, this story is very purely American. There was nothing African in this. So the story is set in the United States. I think it's in New York, because she does mention New York. But so yeah, now you can imagine the trauma that the family is going through. And even herself, the way she grieves is different. So her mom decides that she's gonna create a vigil type of association or organization that's geared towards finding missing kids, because her mom becomes delusional in the sense that she's like, no bodies, then he's not dead. He's basically missing. So she goes and you follow her from till she grows up, and it's her with that organization still feeding the hope that she will find her son, C's brother, whose name is Wayne. And I'm mentioning the name because it becomes important. And throughout the book, y'all, you have, I think half of the book it's her speaking and the other half is Wayne talking. But then there were some aspects in the book where I was confused if it was a dream. There's some parts where there's a bombing that occur, and I don't know if it's in a dream, but I think it's real because the rest of the story kind of follows that storyline. Yo, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I may need to reread this, maybe when I'm good, but right now I was way too confused. And the Wayne part is not even Wayne, her brother, and that's also an aspect I was like, why did you find that name? So it's important though, because the way she created the story, it's important. But Wayne is her love interest. So can you imagine that your brother's name is Wayne and then you're fucking a Wayne? Like, why? And the part that was also weird to me was that she made him resemble Wayne. But maybe she was talking from the perspective of how black people just look the same to non-black people. Maybe she was coming from that aspect. But then I saw the way when at some point the dad does see Wayne and his reaction. He was like, there's a cunning resemblance between the dad, like C's dad, and Wayne, her love interest. But anyways, you guys, that's how I'm gonna say the furrows. And like I said, I recommend, but I think I put $2.75 for this one. Yeah, $2.75, y'all. Oh, right here, $2.75. So I don't want to deter you guys from picking it up. I think you might find something from it. Like I said, it's written by an African author, but she grew up in the United States, so the story, the language was very American. There was, like I said, nothing African. But let me just read you one little quote before I put the book away. I think here she was talking about her mother. So she's like, but also the particularities of her whiteness, the way she seemed to seek expression of her feelings only through black art. So when her mom is grieving, she starts listening all this music that's like black, that's like by black singers. So I thought that was interesting. So she also made another comment. So here she's talking about her cousin, I think. She's like, Lauren is at a truly awful stage of life. On the verge of her 20s, she's too smart and not pretty enough. You're supposed to be pretty if you're mixed race. And she explains, but sometimes you just come out looking jumbled. Well, that was an interesting thing. Here I liked it because she was making a joke about herself. So she made a half black, half white girl joking about zebras. I often did this because she was with her friends and then she made a comment and her being half white, half black and making about zebras. But Anyways, you guys, so those were interesting things. You can definitely pick it up if you want. Next, I read Cyan, Blood Sign by Deborah Falley. Okay, there she is. We definitely did read diversely, I think. So this story is about a 15-year-old Sloan. Now, what happens with Sloan is that Sloan is a Cyan. Cyan basically have fire inside of them and can basically burn you. Okay, all right. But the thing with her and the world she lives in is that Cyans have been killed off by the so-called, let me take my notes here, Lucis, okay? There are these tyrannic, this group of tyranny, okay? I don't know if that sentence makes sense, but there are these people who are going around killing Cyans and Yoruba. I like the use of Yoruba, which is group of people in Nigeria. What happens is that they recruit young children, and the cutoff time is 15. Once you hit 15, you're recruited by the Lucis to basically go kill your own people and be in their army. Yo, this book was really interesting. Like, I was very involved. Like, I don't think I've had a fantasy book that was that interesting by a black author yet. Nah, liar. Blood. What is it? The Children of Blood, of Bone and Blood. What is that? Children of Blood and Bone by Adeyemi. So I'm joking, but it was really interesting. The reason I think why I'm saying that is because the last fantasy book that I read, Forged by Blood, was not that spectacular to me. Okay, but this one was really, it was really interesting. So anyway, so her time has come, Sloan. She has been summoned to be part of the Lucis army. But the thing with that is that something had happened to her mom, where her mom disappeared, okay? And she was trying to find what happened to her mom because the villagers were now shunning her. Shunning her? Is that the word? Snubbing her. Were not, talking because they had heard apparently that the mom had run away with a man, and she knew that was not true. So she was actually under the guardianship of her grandfather. So when the summon comes, she is obviously made to go. She has no choice. Man, the way this author wrote the killing, the unaliving of people in this book, wow. First, it began with killing her best friend. And that's how the Lucis were describing you show your utmost loyalty. And it keeps going, huh? You unalive your best friend, then you try not to make friends because you're gonna be turned against each other. Ooh, man. And at the same time, she needs to be careful because no one can discover that she's a Cyan, okay? And oh my gosh, they unaliving, oh god. And then there comes a part. Yo, okay, let me just read you some stuff. That's the last place any child should be, much less a Cyan. If the Lucis discover what I am, I doubt they'd hesitate to kill me. Okay, here she's just talking about Orishas and Olodumare. I think I quoted these because I wanted to mention the fact that they were mention of, African gods, which is always great. So Olympia is where the queen of the army of devil exists, okay? And I know why I quoted this. I just want you to listen to the description. While the rest of the royals wear the official Lucis colors, Olympia dazzles in a black. Oh, Olympia is the girl's name. So the place is called, I don't remember where she's speaking from, but so here's the description of Olympia. Olympia dazzles in a black floor-length aso oke, studded diamonds gleaming wildly against her smooth alabaster skin. Y'all know the meaning of alabaster skin, yeah? Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. But guys, it was great. Like, I don't want to tell you too many things. There was so much unaliving, okay? I guess those are typical elements found in a fantasy book, okay? Yeah, they were There were betrayals as well. Ooh, there was one betrayal, y'all. I felt it. It hurt. I was like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? And she did. Girl, she did. I was mad. But it did leave on a cliffhanger, and I went on the net trying to, thinking that, oh, there's a second book already out there. No, it comes out in September or something. I'm like, had I known, I would have not have started. Okay, I hate waiting. I hate doing that, especially when the story is still fresh. But yeah, so I can't wait to pick up the second. And for this, it was 4-star, I think. Yeah, it was 4.75 right here, sign. Because I'm so happy. I've been using my notebook, my reading journal, I mean. Okay, so that was the last physical book. The 2 audiobooks that I followed, it was the Farming of Bones by Edwidge Danticat. Yo, that story hurt my soul. First of all, my Haitian people. Y'all know I've been loving on Haitian. I love Haitian people, okay? Because first of all, their history is amazing. They were the first nation to ever take their independence from the enslavers. So that already, they had my respect, my love. Regardless of what they're living today, they have my high respect. In fact, I want to call on you, Haitians. Come fight with us. Bring your voodoo, your hoodoo, everything. Let's go. Come fight with the Congolese people, okay? Because I know Haitians and Congolese, we're together in Montreal, in France. Our collaboration in a lot of things, we're like this, okay? So y'all are allies. Let's do something together, okay? Anyways, you guys, let's talk about the book. So this book talks about the killing of Haitians by Dominicans in what was it? I'll put the date here. It was close, the numbers were from 9,000 close to 40,000 in a small period of time. Man, my black people have been dying for no reason. So the story starts with this young girl. Her name is Amabel Desir. She's a Haitian girl, and she's working for a family in the Dominican Republic, okay? And everything is going well, and it's in 1937. All of a sudden, there are talks happening among workers, Haitians, who are working on plantations that need to leave because Rafael, I think that was the name, Rafael Trujillo, declared, I don't want to say war, he just decided to kill Haitians. And it's basically her journey fleeing DC, I mean Dominican Republic, right? So I'm gonna say DC from now on, so you know I'm talking now about DC in Washington, but okay. So anyways, it's her journey fleeing DC to go back to Haiti. But Amabel's story is that she doesn't know Haiti. You know, she's a young woman, and I think she was in Haiti, but she left Haiti when she was young. And what happened to her parents is that her parents drowned when they were, I guess, traveling to come to DC. So, and she does have a lover. It was really cute. I listened, right? So the accent was very different because I think was it a Spanish that was reading the story? Who narrated the story? Denrele Ojo. But I don't think she's Spanish, but who is she? It's showing me the books that she narrated. But anyways, and her accent was good. One thing that I wanted to mention was that they kept talking about le persil, and how Haitian could not pronounce the R in persil, okay? And then I think the word was peril, okay, in Spanish.
Perejil.
And when they started rounding up Haitians, they would make them say the word, and they couldn't say it. And at some point, you see some of them were like being attacked by the people, and they were being fed le persil. They were being fed. Oh, Jesus Christ. This story was horrible. The killing, it was so graphic. It was bad. And my Haitian people have been through it. And I know even currently there's still some tension between DC and Haiti. Anyways, yeah, it was a hard story to read, and I would recommend, because you know, I will always recommend historical books, and I recommend reading The Farming of Bones. It's really sad. The next one that I listened to was a book by Annie Taylor. It was a thriller, and it's A Stranger in the Woods. This book, first of all, I don't know why it was so long. I think it was 12 hours. But it's about this young woman. Her name is Isla. Isla is from Sydney, okay? And she decides to take a job in Scotland. So Scotland, they were hiring, because she's a photographer, and they were wanting, you know, someone that was really good at their job, because they wanted that person to go take pictures of like real estates and all that stuff. And she she applied for it, and she was chosen. No problem. She goes to Scotland, and lo and behold, things starts to happen. And the thing with Isla is that she had been in Scotland, but she can't remember. So when she accepted the job, she accepts the job and gets to the family, and this family are looking at her like, she's looking at them like, oh hi, how's it going? But like they know her, but then they don't tell her, but they're just like, okay, maybe she's playing a game, so let's just go with it, okay? But one thing is that the wife of the husband of the, you know, of the house where she is staying, because they said that she could stay with them, but like in a cabin, is very what's the word, she doesn't want to approach Isla. She's very, what's the word, like oh god, the word escapes me. Basically, she's just on a guard, you know, she's very much on her guard. And even though Isla tries to be like friends with her, she's like, you know, she's always making up excuses. My head, she's gotta go. And she has a little daughter. I want to know if it's actually in the synopsis before, because you know, thriller, if you say something, you know, you might just ruin it. So let me just see if it's here. Yeah, so it says here, 2 years ago, the McGregor's daughter Elodie was abducted and then died in the playhouse. Okay, so she hears of that story. She knew of it before she came, and you know, it's never been solved. They've never found out who killed Elodie. When I tell you, things starts to unfold and things start to come out, you're like, what? And the twist. The twist. Oh my god, the twist, y'all, the twist. You guys, okay, let me just conclude. She does make friends there, and then there's this guy that she encounters, you know, one day when she goes out with the friends that she made, and they go to a bar, and this guy, his name is Troy. He comes to her and he's like, Isla, what's up, Isla? And I was like, the fuck are you? Like, I don't know you. He's like, what? You gonna play this game now? Like, you don't know me? You know? Remember I told you she lost memory somehow. And she's like, no, like, stop. Like, I don't know you. And everybody's like, oh, okay. Like, you know, whatever. So, long story short, she starts taking pictures and, you know, but then she starts to see that there's someone following her. Like, you know, there's someone in the wood and she's being followed. But she's like, she doesn't understand why. And then all of a sudden, she starts to get curious about the mom and the little girl, because the little girl is the sister of Elodie who died. And then she's gonna just start discovering things, and she gets hurt physically trying to uncover, you know, the things she uncovered. And like I said, the twist, oh my god, the twist, the twist. Anyways, you guys, it was good. I thought it was just too long, but it was good. Okay, so I recommend. I haven't finished writing my review, but I know I've put the stars, so it's 2.75. Okay, just missed the mark of 3 stars. Next, I listened to I'm Not Sidney Poitier. Now, I think I have like 40 minutes left. Not even, maybe 30 minutes left. It wasn't too long. It was like 7 hours. And it's this story of, the guy's name is Not Sidney Poitier. That's the name. I don't know for you guys if you've read it, but it's by Percival Everett. And it had moments of like comedy in it, and it had, you know, some serious, you know, stuff such as, you know, the uppity nigger word being used. And the only thing with this one, I was a bit confused at some point because I don't know when he was either dreaming, because sometimes he's in different times, you know what I mean? But essentially he's not, the name is not Sidney Poitier, and his mom dies when he's still young, and then someone takes care of him by the name of Ted Turner. Sorry. So Ted Turner decides to take care of young, not Sidney Poitier. But the thing with not Sidney Poitier is that he's filthy rich. His mom had made some investment and boom, he took. So he's very rich. And it was the way he would just spend money and give money and basically say it out loud that I have money. Who says that? So he goes to school. This is the funny part. Like, I was laughing. And the reason why I even picked the book, one, it was, I think I had a free credit, but also it's because I finished reading James and I was in love with his writing from that book, James. So I was like, okay, let me just read another book by him. In fact, I even have Erasure lined up in my list of books to listen to. But anyways, so he goes to school. I think at this age he's like 15 or something. And there's something that happens with this teacher. So also the narrator, his voice was so funny. So the teacher is like, do you know what fellatio is, or fellatio or something? Y'all know. Sorry. But then, and then something happens where he's not okay with it, but the teacher basically forces herself on him. And it was simply that's bad, but it was just the comedic tone that, you know, the narrator was describing the situation. And then he decides that, you know what, he's gonna go to the school director and tell. But then obviously no one is believing him, and the school director actually laughs. So he goes to Ted Turner and he's like, yo, this is what happened. And he's like, well, at the end, what is it that you're trying to get from it? And I think he drops out, right? He drops out, but then he goes, at some point he goes to college, and there he meets Morris Chestnut. That's what I was a bit confused with the point of this book, but yeah. And for him to attend college, remember, he dropped out. He's like, okay, I'm gonna give you, I think, what was it, 50,000? No, was it 50,000? Less or more? And he's basically bribing the school principal, and the school's like, okay, let me see what I can do. And he's put into a program. I don't recall the program is, but the funny part was the whole mention of Morris Chestnut. And also at some point, one of his class is being taught by the author Percival Everett. So it was just like, oh my god, what is this book about? But like I said, I had a good time with it. And there was another, I'm gonna conclude by saying this one last thing. There was another part in the book when I was listening, and he was talking, I think it was during slavery time, and he was talking about not even slavery time. It was the current time, but he has a girlfriend. Her name is Maggie, and they go see Maggie's family. It's Thanksgiving. They go because, you know, he doesn't have a family. He doesn't. So she's like, no, I don't want you to be alone. And they go to see his family. So he asked her, did you tell your family? She's like, I may not have mentioned it. So already there, you know that there's already an issue. But then, so the thing with Maggie is that she's very passing. She could pass for white, but she's black. So they arrive to the family house. And then, you know, the mom acts very civilized, but you can tell there's some off for her. And Lord behold, as he's installing himself in the room, he overhears the dad and the mom talking about him. And what are they saying? My gosh, but he's so dark. Oh god, but like he's so black. And he's like, oh, okay. So there's the whole colorism mentioned. So that's what I'm saying. There were social commentaries that were being mentioned throughout the book. And I was like, oh, okay, I think he's just trying to talk about this issue. But it's the way he tackled this issue with a little humor. I think that's how he writes his book. I don't know, but this is my second book by him. So we'll see as I read more books to discover his style of writing. But yeah, so he decides that he's gonna play with that family because they don't know that he's rich, but they do discover that he is rich, and now you see the attitude change. But he's like, nah, I know who you are. Yeah. So that was I'm Not Sidney Poitier by Percival Everett. So it's a 4-star for me. I had a good time with it, and I want to say I like that I concluded this book with this because it was light. It actually made me laugh a little because I was, I've been saying already, I was going through it. So it was nice to finish, because these books were sort of heavy. They were heavy, y'all. I know I read heavy books because that's what I do, okay? So it was nice to finish on a lighter tone. So there you have it, you guys. I know it's a long video, but I read 9 books. So you divide 9 books by the time, you know how much time I spent on each book, okay? So anyways, you guys, that's the end. I hope you like the video, so don't forget to comment, subscribe, and share. And if you don't want to comment, just leave me maybe an orange heart for sign, blood sign. Yeah? Okay. All right, you guys. Bye.
And this is library without borders. Please don't forget to like